So this is a project I already had in the works before I started the YouTube channel. It's just been sitting for like 6 weeks or so while I had parts on order. I had to get the gearbox built and just get a few parts from America for the car. And I was waiting on the wiring harness and all that to get made. So now it's pretty much time to start putting the car back together and make it look good. So I've sort of fabbed up most of the stuff. So I've already fabbed up like radiator hoses, plumbed power steering, fuel lines, all that, like mocked it all up. Now it's time for like final assembly. So putting the engine back together. Should say it's actually an LS swap as well. So yeah, LS swap. I've made engine mounts, all that. We just got to make them all look pretty and weld them in. So I thought I'd just start filming on it and put this on the channel as well. So yeah, follow along, and there won't be heaps of fab in that in this build because I've already done a lot of it. I've already made exhaust and all that stuff, but I can sort of show you as we're putting it back together. So it might be like a 1 or 2 episode sort of video. So yeah, stay tuned. Pretty cool car. It's an old Jeep. Let's get into it. Got these mounts welded in, so now I've just got to put a bit of primer on them, and I just MIG welded them to the rail on both sides, and then the tops as well, and they're also they're bolted in as well, so they're bolted and welded, and then paint them black, and they've got these little rubber pads that sit on them. Rails all painted. Time to plonk the motor in. All this stuff the owner's going to tidy up, so I'm just making it fabbing the engine stuff. Engine's in, steering shaft's in, got the extractors on, power steering high pressure lines on. The gearbox is all bolted in and that. Now we're just going to put the trans-cooler in, the radiator in, all the plumbing, get the front of this engine assembled. Then we'll move on to like throttle body, putting the airbox on, just getting the car together. Fuel lines and that are already made, they're just got to be P-clipped off and bolted up. And then we'll keep moving on that, and then tomorrow we'll probably find a nice hole in the firewall, drill that out to run the wiring loom in, and then we'll wire up the engine. I might be able to maybe start it, just to make sure this engine's okay. It's just out of a junk car, so just coming together now. So I've got the engine in, gearbox is in, fuel lines are on, all the exhausts on. Got all the coils on, got the radiator in with the thermo fans, and I've made these hoses. So I've got top braid hose, the bottom hose. Bottom hose I had to make like a bit of a crossover from the thermostat housing, and then I just used the standard Commodore bottom hose, just so if he ever has problems, he can just go in and get a Commodore hose. We're not running the heater at the moment. The factory heater thing's all busted up, so we'll have to chase him up. So I just looped the heater at the water pump. Got all the power steering lines ran, so got the high pressure line done. That just loops around, and I just welded a little fitting onto the factory outlet from the steering box, and just put a little AN fitting on that, so that worked out well. What else is there? Got the ratchet shifter and stuff in, so I'll film that as well. Yeah, it's coming together. So now I just got to put the throttle body on. I'm going to delete this factory sort of setup, how they run the coolant through the throttle body from that steam port. I'm just going to weld this fitting in the radiator and then just run a line to the steam port and just do away with all the lines that, I think there used to be like 2 outlets on the Commodore radiator or something that they went to. Throttle body on, intake pipe, not sure what we're going to do for an airbox yet. He just asked to run a pod filter, but I'll see what I'm going to do with that. I might even put a pod filter in a box or something, maybe somewhere over here. I've got to sort out some ignition leads. The leads I've got. So I've got some new leads, but I'm just going to have to get some with some like 45-degree boots or whatever, because they hit on the headers I've made. Well, sorry, I didn't make these headers. These are just like an eBay cheap header, and I've just modified them down at the collector. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get like a 45-degree boot on there to come up to the coil, which is no big deal. I got all the brake booster line ran. Just actually used 2 Commodore lines and put a little joiner in them here. That's all neat. It's got the factory little things on them to stop them rubbing on stuff. Yeah, keep moving forward and I'll give you another update soon. Got the wiring harness here that I got from 12 Volt Customs. So you send him your ECU and he'll take all the vats and stuff out of it for you and send you this standalone wiring harness. So it's all it's got its own fuse box, the plugs, and all new wiring and connectors on it. I think it was like $1,800 or $1,850, I think it was, delivered with the vats removed out of the computer. So it's definitely a good deal and saves heaps of time. Pretty sure we've just got to wire power and earth to it and wire the fuel pumps, and it's pretty much will run. Hopefully, looks like there's maybe it's a little bit more wiring. They could be for gauges or something. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. It's got a little OBD2 plug in that. All I need to really wire up is these wires in the cabin, just to like gauges, power, earth, alternator light, oil pressure light, all that stuff. These ones are for fuel pump, and then there's a few wires down here that just need to go to like thermo fans, and then there's like a unterminated wires that go to the O2 sensors. I just sort of leave them long so I can find a spot. Like obviously everyone's different with where their O2 sensors are located. I've got this bracket for the factory computer, so I'm going to mount this in the bay. His loom would, we're going off base off his grommet, he would have put the fuse box and the engine computer in the car, but there's just no room in this car for this and a fuse box. I've sort of pulled this out to have a bit of a look, but all this is just heater. There's no glove box in this car, and then there's this little compartment which is all the heater stuff. The owner of the car does want to put aircon and retain the heater stuff in the car, so I'm not going to delete any of that. So I've just decided I'm going to put the engine computer here, sort of like where the I think the factory Commodore ones are either here or back in their bay, something like that, I can't quite remember. And then I'm going to make a little bracket up, mount the fuse box just next to it there like that. And then run this harness, tuck it up along, run it along and then around, and then I'll probably pull these wires back through this loom. I'll untape this, pull them wires back through, and I'll pop a little grommet in here or something and send that into the car, because they're the only real wires that need to be in the cabin. The fuel pump wiring I can send along with the fuel line back to the pump, and then I'll try and make it really neat. I'm going to unwrap. This loom comes just like, I think you can option it to get it taped a lot nicer. It's just in like normal electric tape, so I'm going to undo all this and put some like the heat sheathing stuff on it, and then cloth tape it just to make it look nice. I'll try and tuck most of it under the, like here, and then I'm going to try and get a factory Commodore engine cover, like the Gen 3 engine covers, and put that on and just tuck it all in nice, just to keep it all clean looking. But yeah, keep going with this and I'll give some updates once the loom's in. Alright, so I've just got the loom sort of laid out on the car, and there's a few things left to do to make it actually start, but I just wanted to make sure that this engine will crank. So I've just put the starter motor and that in. Still got to wire up O2 sensors, fuel pump, put the MAF sensor and all that in. And just wire it to the key. I haven't done the internal one yet. I just want to make sure that it's going to crank. So that's good. So now I'll continue wiring, and get some smoke coming out down there. Oh, it's coming out of the exhaust. So yeah, keep wiring. I'll put the trigger wires into the car, put some power to fuel pumps, and we pretty much should be good to go. Power, fuel pumps, yeah. Oh, and then just put the MAF sensor and all that on. Put some fuel in it, see if this thing's gonna start. Got the fuse box all mounted, so painted the brackets. I've got this bracket here. This goes down in there. Nice and sturdy. And I've just started wrapping the loom, because the loom comes in this tape. I don't think that'll be very good, so wrapping it in like this heat wrap tape. Starting to look pretty cool. About to do the first fire up. Just got to put some fuel in the tank. It's definitely the first fire up, but it's still cold, so just to show you, it's not a YouTube fire up. This is the actual first fire up. Getting close now, so I've got this fuse box all mounted in. I've made up these brackets that mounts to the ECU bracket there. Got most of the loom sort of wrapped up. Still got a little bit of that stuff to tidy up. Air filter needs to be sorted out. I've got fluids in the car, so just got to fire it up and bleed them up. And I've still got to do the exhaust. So I've made the exhaust, I just need to fit it up to the car and just make some little hangers and stuff. I just left that off for now until I've ran it up to temp and just checked for leaks. It's pretty hard to get to the gearbox transcooler lines and stuff once the exhaust is in, so I just want to make sure they're all good. We had to sort of custom make those, so I just want to make sure they're good. Got tail shaft and that in, so I'm going to fire it up and just move it out of the shed. It's coming up to the weekend, so I just want to get it out so I can do a bit of my own stuff this weekend. But yeah, at least it starts and runs now. It's got fluids in it. I just need to finish off the last little bits and then sort of test the car and make sure it's all good before I give it back to the owner. So that'll probably wrap out this episode. I'll put all that up, and then I'll put up one more episode of just finishing everything off, and when you see everything tidied up, and then drive the car and stuff, and I'll put all that in like a second episode, and that'll pretty much be it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the little Jeep short series, and I'll see you in the next one.